At both ends of Ewood Park, seeing the roar then, and both teams in the tunnel now. Curtis, take me to opening night and what this will mean in particular for Derby going into it.
I think particularly when you've been promoted, you want to hit the ground running, and I think both teams will see it as a chance to get 3 points on opening day. So I don't think by any means either team will take that one for granted, but they'll see this as a massive opportunity to start their season, start it well, and then get themselves going.
We've spoken at length about Blackburn. This fixture actually the second most played when it comes to opening fixtures. It's Blackburn against Derby. Let's see if it was a summer well spent. Dalton Goodman is alongside your match commentator, Daniel Mann.
Well, thank you, Caroline, and welcome to the new season. It's a time when we often talk of the dreamers, the romantics, those that believe anything is possible. But this perhaps the theatre of realism tonight. Neither club coming into this season with any sense that the Premier League will be within their reach. They're expecting survival, but a battle for it perhaps. We'll see what unfolds in the next 10 months. Check on the teams, and the big news, as you might have gathered, centres on the Blackburn bench, where Sammy Szmodics lies in wait. Still here despite what is now a protracted transfer saga, and he hasn't been involved in much group training or pre-season action. With the new recruits that did eventually arrive, Senegalese striker Makhtar Gueye leads the attack. Plenty of presence, as you will see, but a few rough edges to be smoothed. Derby give debuts to 4 new signings. Caden Jackson leads the attack, fresh from being part of Ipswich's remarkable promotion to the Premier League last season. There's an all-new midfield, imposing and talented teenager David Ozo, who has had a smattering of Premier League experience, could be a real eye-catcher at the base of it. He's been borrowed from Palace. Ben Osborne has come home, his hometown and boyhood club, and the forward-thinking Kenzo Houdmine from AZ in the Netherlands. Courtney Blackett-Taylor and Connor Washington are missing through injury. New striker Jerry Yates is suspended after a final day red card in Swansea colours last season. Well, Szmodics may be disappearing fairly soon. It's time for others, such as this man, to step up and fill the void.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Tyrese Dolan, he's a very, very talented individual. We've been saying that for the last couple of years, but 80 championship starts for Blackburn, 16 goals. I just think there's more to come from him, and it would be really timely if they're going to lose Sammy Szmodics, if now is the time he really steps up.
Derby's success last season built on a very solid foundation, of which this man was a major part. Can he transfer that form to the higher level?
Yeah, it's been almost a perfect combination, hasn't it, with Curtis Nelson, all the experience, no doubt, helping Aaron Cashin really establish himself, sought after by 1 or 2 Premier League clubs, and I think Derby County are going to have to be solid defensively this season. I'm pretty confident that he'll have a good one.
Paul Warne and Richie Barker on the Derby bench in good mood, typical mood as well. It has been a frustrating period for John Eustace. He gave them resilience last season, which is a large part of the reason they're still in the Championship. It did look dicey at points, but he's certainly wanted more than he's got in the transfer market. There aren't too many positions where he is not still looking for improvement. Well, we enter a brave new era in broadcasting terms in the EFL, and we've got one of the most venerable fixtures in the competition's history. Indeed, the first meeting between these two came before the first radio transmission of Morse code, and here we are with around 1,000 matches or so being streamed over the course of the campaign. It is a brave new world. While we're looking very much towards a bright near future in the EFL, both clubs commemorating great moments of their past with their attire this evening. In the traditional blue and white halves with a few who are Bournemouth celebrating their Premier League winning season. This is Maktar Gueye getting involved, and Ryan Hedges, a player that's got to be carefully managed. And, serious injury wrecked the previous campaign for him.
It was really important, wasn't it, for Blackburn Rovers to get on the front foot really quickly here tonight.
Dolan has kept that in. He's playing in what he would call his preferred position.
This is the reason why already less than a minute on the clock, they've got the home supporters on side. It was really important. A terrible, terrible record here last season.
Come down for Hedges. Mendez-Laing trying to deal with it. On-pitch captain at the end of last season. Very much the skipper at the start of this. Hedges. First involvement on the defensive, really, for Ben Osborne. Away by Wilson.
Oh, what a good start by the home team. They've got Derby County pretty much penned in their own half in the opening couple of minutes here.
We definitely improved them defensively. He's looking for more in the final third this season. They had one of the most clinical players in the division last season, but as a collective, that was not the case. Dominic Hyam steps into good effect there, the first piece of defensive action. But he's the last Blackburn player other than Szmodics to score here, and that was back in February. Osborne guilty of a foul, and Blackburn get a chance to continue this early momentum.
Yeah, you can see by the look on his face, he's almost bewildered to be penalised for that, and I can understand why. The referee's right there in a really good position, but he must deem that part of it there to be an infringement. I might say that he's got hold of his shirt, but had he done that in the penalty area, he certainly wouldn't have given a penalty for that kind of a pull of his shirt.
Hyam getting in there.
Well, it's a chance, and it's another area that they'd like to improve dramatically. They didn't score many set pieces when you think they've got such big players like Dominic Hyam. Gets up well. It goes down as a little half chance.
It's an area they've strengthened, and it's probably, he's also brought two strikers in, but it's probably the only area of the squad where John Eustace is fully satisfied with the numbers and quality he has at his disposal. Certainly some very good experience now with Kyle McFadzean back in the building and Danny Bart on the bench tonight.
Well, you look at the fact they conceded 74 goals last season, and only the bottom two conceded more. But most notably, when John Eustace came in, they conceded 18 goals in 16 games and kept 6 clean sheets. So they were much, much more solid, and that's what John Eustace brings: organisation.
As well as the grit, there are people like Hedges to provide the guile, and they've got that extra resilience without Lewis Travis at John Eustace's disposal. It's one of the more baffling events of last season that such was the rupture in the relationship between him and Yandel Thomason that he was loaned out to Ipswich Town.
That's the only explanation, isn't it? Why on earth, if you're Blackburn Rovers, would you let Lewis Travis leave when you're in a bit of a dogfight?
Don't fall! You'll get it!
Be a few buckets of cash willing to test that theory before the window closes, though, from what we hear. Wilson has the matter in hand, and it's Vickers in the Derby goal. One thing that Derby are capable of utilising is pace at the top end of the pitch. Mendez-Laing, one of the providers of that. Osborne. Mulder involved. This is Mendez-Laing again. Some promise here. And the flick from Jackson, which in the end was not a great worry for Ainsley Bears.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. If you're Blackburn Rovers, you have to be guarded against that counter-attack. There is searing pace at the top end of that Derby County team.
Here's Pickering. By Britton. And here is Travis. Ranking Costello.
Let's go! Let's go!
Positioning back to a wide attacking role. Tronstadt to Travis. Gay in behind here! And the first real sight of goal for the new Blackburn Rovers striker.
Well, he's big, he's willing, and he's quick. That is timed to perfection, the run. Just can't keep the strike on target. The angle is always against him. He just drags the shot a little bit wide. That is really encouraging. Target.
Signed from RWD Molenbeek in Belgium, who were relegated from Belgium's top flight last season.
Well, this team you can see there dominating the ball. Which way it would be. They've got off to a good start here, the home team.
John Eustace is sort of, it's an unknown quantity as to how a striker from the lower reaches of Belgium's top flight will cope with the transition to the Championship. But I know up the road they used some players acquired from that division to some substantial effect a couple of seasons ago, if we even dare mention them.
It's been a theme, hasn't it, this summer? There have been an awful lot of overseas players recruited by Championship clubs. The access to all the data, every player that plays in every league now, absolutely vast. And there are some bargains to be had.
Nelson. Tronstadt.
Got a new, didn't it? But he knew exactly what he was doing.
Carter's run into trouble, and he's... well, Blackburn have come out of it okay, he hasn't. Product of the academy, which is very much the jewel of the crown here at Blackburn. And the under-23s have certainly benefited from being involved as a matter of necessity in some cases with the first team squad this pre-season.
Terrific record, haven't they, producing academy graduates. Blackburn Rovers.
Ranking Costello.
They're just going to have to look after the ball a little bit better, Derby County, when they get it. A minute, turnover is very, very quick.
It's ahead of Houdmine, it didn't quite come down kindly for him. Hedges. Carter. Hedges again the target. And a deflection off Wilson and into the safe hands of Vickers.
They are getting the ball out wide, and they are getting crosses into the ball, and why wouldn't you when you've got a 6'5" centre forward as well? Target.
As we've seen already, he's got plenty of running power as well. There are different strings to his bow. Signed a couple of really different types in Gay and Ohashi.
Polar opposites, aren't they? Which is good.
You can certainly use them both together.
Travis on the receiving end of the first naughty challenge.
I don't really understand this challenge. He's absolutely never getting anywhere near the ball there. Goes to ground through the back of Travis. Can't complain about seeing yellow for that. To tread carefully now.
Yeah, Tom Barkhuizen. Knows Lancashire well, Preston player. Paul and Morecambe and Fleetwood indeed. Gay holding it up well. Dolan in a tight area and wins the free kick.
They just haven't settled here yet. Derby County, lovely skill. Tyrese Dolan, tight area, little nutmeg, draws the challenge.
It depends how much store you put in what's happened in pre-season, but they have had some defensive difficulties, Derby. Conceded a lot of goals. Even talk of them needing a win before the final game against Valladolid last weekend. It's Pickering's ball in, and the proverbial crowd scene, but Vickers will take the pressure off. Although there is personal pressure on him. He is starting the season, but Derby will be signing a new goalkeeper, Jakob Zetterström, very soon from Swedish club Djurgårdens, who have been involved in the European action this week, and Derby's prospective new goalkeeper was actually nutmegged in the build-up to the equaliser last night in their game with Ilves Tampere.
I'm sure the Derby fans are thrilled for you mentioning that.
The suggestion is he'll be in to be available for the game against Watford on the 24th of August. Maybe signed before that, but truly available then. Pickering. Wilson in the way.
Important block. Chance of a counter. Well, they need to keep the ball here, Derby. They've not had too much of it. It doesn't really matter. They don't have to go anywhere with it. Just need to draw the sting out of Blackburn's momentum. That's exactly what they're doing, which is good.
Raker there from Osborne, taken in beautifully by Barkhuizen, and he's got support. Ozo. Here's Cashin. Nelson.
This is much better. It just allows them just to grow into this game, just get a feel of the ball.
Caldmine looking to get Derby on the front foot, which he has done beautifully here. Jackson offside though. And what they like about Caldmine is his thought is always forward. Never wants to play a safe pass. Well, news of a goal across the county, and Sheffield United chasing a swift return to the Premier League in front. Ollie Arblaster's deflected effort in off Hughes, giving them the lead against Preston at Deepdale. Live for you, of course, on Sky Sports Plus. Also have action from League One and League Two. Barnsley against newly promoted Mansfield. Nigel Clough was at Oakwell the other night for their epic battle it was for a pre-season game with Derby. Both teams finishing with 10 men because they ran out of players. Use that many substitutes. So Nigel Clough he recalled at Derby, of course.
Yeah, just pointing out that possession, how they've just settled things down. That little pocket of possession when they got the ball back has just steadied things down for Derby County.
And Nigel Clough's team in front, the veteran, I think we can politely call him, Stephen Quinn, just keeps on going and keeps being a massive influence for them. And he's got the goal at Oakwell. And also in action tonight, it's a welcome back to the EFL for Chesterfield, and he'll be jumping there for their match against Swindon Town. You can follow all that action live via Sky Sports Plus. And remember, we have every single game on this opening weekend for you. If you want to watch a game, you can. Houdmine to deliver. Got a touch.
Puts his hand on his head. I don't think he was expecting the ball to come all the way through to him there. But he'll certainly be sitting a lot easier than he was 10 minutes ago, really. His team were under siege a little bit.
And talking of Chesterfield, Dobra has given them the lead on their big night, and it is of interest to Derby. They are their midweek opponents in the Carabao Cup, and they also put 4 past the Rams without reply in a pre-season match.
I wonder how Paul Cook's voice is holding up.
You're doing better than mine at the moment. Here's Hyam. Wesley Pears, he's also expecting some competition to come in after Leopold Farstedt's departure in the summer. One of their targets apparently escaped them during the week, Jeffrey De Lange, who chose Marseille instead of Blackburn, leaving Go Ahead Eagles. Any comment on? Perhaps not.
No comment, no.
I mean, it is above -2 today, Don. Breaking is Travis with real purpose. Britton. Gay. Oh, and it scrums across for Dolan! Well, he's head over heels in love with that. And having come out the blocks firing, Blackburn Rovers have the lead they wanted.
Well, it's a harsh reality check for Derby County, because they were probably been the better team for the last certainly 5, 6, 7 minutes, but it's a brilliant burst from midfield from Travis, and they just pick the right pass at every moment here, don't they? Maybe they get a little bit fortunate with the way it arrives at Tyrese Dolan, but it's made by Lewis's Travis. His burst from midfield, it opens things up. Clever run from Gay and Dolan. We mentioned him before kick-off about delivering more end product. Well, there it is, right on cue, and they've got the lead that they would have been craving in these parts. It's a decent finish.
Well, he made absolutely sure that it was going to go over anyone hurling themselves at it, and just was able to keep it down. And Dolan at the Darwin end. And some relief, no doubt, around Ewood Park, but some concern over Ben Osborne, Derby's recent capture. He tends to like meetings with Derby County, as Blackburn do indeed. You have to go back a long time since the Rams returned from the Rovers' home with victory. Jamie Ward got the winner. John Eustace was playing.
A little opportunity for Paul Warne just to get a few little messages onto his team. They'd grown into the game before that burst from Lewis Travis opened them up. And that's what can happen at this level that probably didn't happen very often in League One.
Yeah. Well, Paul Warne was, when he was trying to sum up the difference between these two divisions, just escaped Gay's clutches. There is, you know, in League Two you might concede 5 chances and maybe 1 or 2 goals. In League One it may be 2, 3. In the Championship it's going to be at least 3, possibly 4.
Yeah, it's definitely, generally, well, Ipswich would argue, quite a big gap between League One and the Championship.
The block from Britain, and Derby looking to force the issue. Mendes Langs getting on the end of it, but so did the Blackburn fullback. It's a strong suit for Derby, it certainly was last year, and they're about to test Blackburn's mettle. Mansfield getting off to a flyer, newly promoted George Cooper has doubled their money at Oakwell.
Yeah, you're right, set pieces, good source of goals for Derby County last season.
You're there on that.
It's good movement, fine space. It's a shame the corner, it's just a fraction over hit. Wilson can't quite keep the ball in.
The freedom of the borough, didn't he?
Well, they only conceded first in 10 games in League One, but they managed to win 3 of them. 30% turnaround is actually not bad.
Gritty bunch, and there's another test of their fortitude on the cards here. Rankin Costello able to sweep it first time for Hedges. Confidence coursing through them. Rankin Costello was the very suggestion that Ozo was attempting a different sport for a bit.
No, he's done well there, really. He knows that if he has a little lunge here, he's in danger of giving away a penalty, so he takes his arms off Rankin Costello, thighs the ball out. It's actually good defending in the end.
He's really caught the eye in pre-season. They have extremely high hopes for him during the course of the campaign. I suppose there's always danger a lone player does too well. You end up losing it, but it's all right. Old crowd scene. 6-yard box from a Blackburn point of view is almost empty with just Gay in there. I wonder where they're going to aim this one. It's Britain who does deliver. Tronstadt back in there. Gay looking to use that presence. Hyam couldn't quite latch onto it. Chase on. Tronstadt hopes to win it, but Jackson willing to test the theory.
Well, he had about 5 yards, Tronstadt, but he only ended up having about half a yard in the end. And if I'm Derby County and I'm looking at that, that is an area that they can exploit using Caden Jackson's searing pace.
Jackson, who didn't quite make the grade at Blackburn as a youngster, was here on trial as he was at Leeds.
Good refereeing. There was a foul in there. No advantage gained. Pulled the play back.
Well, the referee Josh Smith, like all the officials this weekend, wearing an armband because of some very sad news over the summer. The passing of Gary Willard, former Premier League and FIFA referee, at a heartbreakingly young age of 64. And very much behind that particular tribute. is going to make an emergence for a little trot. Blackburn's prize asset, still Blackburn's prize asset.
It's dragged on too long, hasn't it? The negotiations with Ipswich Town, to the point where it's really not fair on Szmodics. It's not fair on the club either, really. But left in limbo.
He's certainly getting a warm reception from the Blackburn supporters as he goes about his warming up, or his little trot, suggesting he's going to be entering the stage anytime soon. It's been very difficult because naturally he's been training separately for a bit. It's Wilson.
We're just a little bit slow in closing Wilson down there, but he will go with the very best wishes of all the Blackburn Rovers fans if he does end up leaving. There's no doubt about it.
So Derby hoping to turn a strength in League One to a major asset in the Championship. Nelson with plenty to say. Trying to make inroads inside that penalty area.
It's a tiny bit ambitious, isn't it? Really.
Hedges, Pickering. It's the head of Cashin. Here's Doan. Travis. Rankin Costello. From Britain. There's another situation of promise.
Once again, it's Lewis Travis driving from that midfield area, isn't it? Causing Derby County problems.
Well, just to correct our earlier information from Oakwell, Lee Gregory in fact doubled Mansfield's lead rather than George Cooper. So he's on the mark. Back in his native territory, isn't he, Lee Gregory, tonight in South Yorkshire. Here's Nelson. Houdmaier. Bit of swerve on that. In the end, Rankin Costello apologetic. Well, you can see every Championship game this weekend, but on Sky Sports Football we are majoring on the following. We welcome Oxford back to the Championship, and Norwich are their opening day opponents. On Sunday, Sheffield Wednesday against Plymouth, who have a manager whose name I just can't quite remember at the moment. Big name. Wayne Rooney, of course, with them. And Luton and Burnley down from the Premier League in action on Monday night at Kenilworth Road. Faced a battle with Ozo.
Well, Targay is so disappointed because he was free as a bit. He could have been clean through. The ball gone forward earlier. Maybe when he's been here a little while longer, he'll let them know a bit more about that.
We played his part in the goal. And with that speed of thought and deed we've talked about, he had a glimmer of an opportunity as well. Not the greatest of angles for him. An unknown quantity, so far so good. Easily away there from Cashin, and neatly to Britton, and Gay will elude him.
Well, I like that from Gay. Unselfish as well, team player. Not all about just having the blinkers on and trying to score himself. I like that.
It's obviously a difficult season in Belgium last year, but a decent return that, 11 goals. Team that eventually suffered the drop. He made a very good start to last season and had a pretty strong finish. He scored 6 in the first 10 games. He was red carded a couple of times. Now Zaragoza and Saint Etienne on his CV, so not to be sniffed at.
It's outstanding from Ainsley Pears, isn't it? Made it look a lot easier than it was.
Waiting to see how sure-footed he was going to prove to be. It's Hyatt. Carter appears to have shaken off the earlier problem. You feel with the recruitment they've made at centre-back, as he looked, might not reach Gay, or go beyond Gay. There will be an influence, even if they're not on the pitch, won't they, with what they can bring to the training ground at Patin and Bart, and they can certainly help someone like Hayden Carter along.
Andy Weimann as well. I think John Eustace has gone on record as saying he doesn't expect them to play every minute of every game. You know, they will be used a bit sparingly, I'm sure, but great experience, and that's what was lacking at Blackburn. They were one of the youngest teams in the first part or half of last season, naive at times, and he wanted to try and eradicate that.
Gay getting involved again, and Hedges, weapon of choice, but under pressure.
But they are the team carrying the goal-scoring threat, aren't they? Can't really remember Derby testing Ainsley Pears.
Ainsley on the comeback trail. An eventful encounter at Oakwell, as it was. Barnsley beat Derby 4-3, incidentally, in the pre-season meeting. So Darwin has not been at Oakwell so far this campaign. Wilson making strides. It's Pickering. Cloudmine. Footballing dynasty. His dad is at RZ still as one of the first team coaches. Long-serving player there. Mendez-Laing getting away. Crossroad escaped the clutches of the goalkeeper, too close to him.
Yeah, first bit is really good. He'll be disappointed with the cross. It's on his weaker left foot. He's got to try and keep it away from the goalkeeper.
Putting himself about again. He's a little bit further back, I think, than Ohashi, who has been playing in Japan in recent weeks for a club you know, Don.
Indeed.
Hiroshima. Ohashi has had a distressing time with injuries in the last few years, but an energy and discipline. Might the factor possibly, apart from the different qualities of the two players, also in the mind was that maybe the games in Japan are lower on the intensity scale. That's certainly the feeling in John Eustace's mind than maybe what Gay has experienced.
Well, they're gambles, aren't they? Those kind of signings. The early signs are positive.
Well, they're two. You either look at genius, or through not necessarily any fault of the players, it doesn't work out.
I'm sure at both of these clubs there will be several more ins to come.
It's easier to name the departments where John Eustace feels he doesn't need cover than those that he does. And Derby is certainly not finished. Houdmine. Putting up in this kind of area, willing to take the ball. Wilson. Ozo. He can be a controller as well as a destroyer, there's no doubt about that. Ozo. The ability with the ball at his feet. This is Osborne. Well, it might yet run for Parkhazen, who was in there.
Yeah, there was just a little half a chance for Caden Jackson. Missed his kick. Better from Derby.
A spell where Ewood Park has been as quiet as it's been all night, despite the lead, which 1-0 is never a comfortable one. Osborne won't get to that because Rankin Costello dropped back in there. I'm used to seeing him in, or rather it was Carter who got his head to it.
They've just gone in the shell a little bit, Blackburn Rovers, and that's why the crowd have gone quiet.
So what variation are we going to see here? Osborne with the left foot will deliver. They formed a queue at the edge of the box. Now they break. Giving Blackburn a scare from the set pieces yet. Okay, certainly feeling confident. Trying that in that area of the pitch.
I think the problem for Derby is that I don't think they've given Blackburn a scare at all yet, and that was always going to be a slight concern. I know Paul Warne wants to bring in another striker.
It's Vickers. Good spell for Derby though in possession terms.
They're not finding a way to get, well, certainly two of the forwards. Look at that, Caden Jackson, Parkhazen, and David Ozo. He's been running games in pre-season, hasn't he? Lots of touches, controlling games, not being allowed to here tonight.
Showing his other qualities there. Great play of signing a player who proved to be a favourite on loan last season, Ebou Adams. But there was certainly the feeling around the club that Ozo could be Adams plus. So to have both of them in the building, definitely a bonus. And you know, there may well be games where you feel though the qualities of them as a pair could be important.
This is the part of the season, isn't it, where you're finding out, you know, every day in training, certainly in games.
Dolan, the decisive factor at the moment. A year when it really may be his to truly step up to the plate. Combining here with Hedges.
He's looked sharp. Tyrese Dolan is always making himself available for his team. Trying to find those pockets.
Caden Jackson. Painful one for both. Jackson and Travis, who shared a dressing room last season.
Yeah, of course they did. Just tangle the legs. There's a little slip in there, and then their legs tangle together. Causes them both a little bit of pain. Curtis Nelson over wanting a yellow card for that. I don't think so. More clumsy than anything else.
Oh, mate, left me hanging.
Like you said, teammates last year.
This seems to have been quickly forgotten. Away that time by Travis. Now Ozo, difficult battle on his hands, but he stood up to it. But here Gay has won it back, but not fairly or squarely.
I think his smile might just about give it away. Goes over the top of the ball, moves Elder out the way.
Gay proving his worth in his own penalty area. Rick and Cross Nelson hoping to get a touch with the outstretched boot.
Yeah, that was a fantastic ball curling in. Bit of doubt in the mind of a goalkeeper in case anybody just gets a touch on that. It's a strange atmosphere in here, isn't it? It's quiet. Both ends of the ground. First day of the season, you know, you just expect a little bit more from particularly the home fans, really. They're 1-0 up.
It doesn't take much at the moment to puncture the confidence as we enter a minimum of one added minute, which Derby may make something happen. It's Mendez-Laing. Hyam in the way.
Experience. Hyam knows he cannot let this ball get across because Jackson would have a tap in. It's really clever play from Dominic Hyam.
So fourth Derby corner, and we've yet to see them really make mischief from one. Now would be a good time. Are you watching, Lionel? Says Curtis Nelson as he looks to rise.
I suspect that's going to be that. Finally poised, really.
Well, Blackburn have the lead. Tyrese Dolan in what you feel will be and a very important season for him personally at Blackburn Rovers, giving them the lead. They did start really well, Blackburn. I suppose ironically the goal came at a point where Derby had clawed their way back, but new signing Maktar Gueye played his part in that. A promising start for the new Rovers striker. The half-time score at Ewood Park: Blackburn 1, Derby 0.
"45 minutes left of the opening match of the season for Blackburn and Derby. Back to your commentary team. Don Goodman is alongside Daniel Mann.
Thank you, Caroline. And the central figure in terms of the score sheet, Tyrese Nolan re-emerges. Blackburn rather idling through portions of that first half where Derby had plentiful possession, but not really laid a glove on a team that finished in the bottom six. Indeed, only secured safety on the final day last season with a win against a Leicester team who may have had other matters on their mind during the week leading up to it, having won the title. Gap, even though there's not too many places in the league pyramid, has looked a significant one so far. Can Derby change that viewpoint with what they produce in the second period as they attack the Darwin end where their supporters are gathered in their centenary gold and victory blue strip? And it's Olympics time, and we've had a false start. No disqualifications though.
Well, I have to find a way in the second half to be much more of a goal-scoring threat. Hardly laid a glove on Blackburn Rovers in that first half, Derby. Opportunity half-time represents for a head coach and manager just to tweak one or two things. Let's see.
For Gueye, his confidence is such he'll have a crack. Cashin taking some of the sting out of it. Yeah, they've taken a lot from that first 45 minutes, I'm sure, Blackburn's new recruit.
Yeah, and as you say, he's probably still striving for sharpness, trying to get up to speed. Did well in that first half.
Kiyohashi didn't come on for him in the second half at Stockport in their final pre-season friendly. Intriguingly, both of these clubs playing pre-season friendlies against their midweek Carabao Cup opposition, because Blackburn are back at Finchley Park on Wednesday night, I think it is. We're happy with their dress rehearsal. That particular venue, Stockport, starting the season with plenty of ambition after promotion. Rankin Costello.
And once again, it's Blackburn Rovers on the front foot at the start of the half. Just wonder whether he could have took it a strike without having a little touch. The power doesn't get the direction.
Shot with his weaker foot. Getting back used to playing as a wide attacker, I suppose. It's the first game for Blackburn he's played in that kind of position for over 2.5 years. It's certainly well within his capabilities. Good job as an inverted right back. This is Elder. Ozo. Mendes-Lang with Elder in support. Barkhuizen far post here. Houdmine in the penalty area. Osborne. Well, some encouragement right in front of their supporters. Is this the moment they make the most of one of these situations, of which there have been many. Cashin has made the trip. Nelson always talkative. Hardmine lurks outside the area. Osborne is on hand, but it's going to go straight in there. And is it going to go straight in? Derby certainly thought so, but the technology tells us it didn't.
I don't know how. If I'm honest, I don't know how. They are very, very lucky, Blackburn Rovers. I wonder if Nathaniel Mendez-Laing is deliberately trying to score from this corner, because they all run across that near post. It's bending in viciously, and I'll tell you what, Ainsley Pears has done brilliantly, but then it's Barkhuizen on the turn. Can't dig the ball out. This is remarkable goalkeeping from Ainsley Pears, but I just wonder whether Tom Barkhuizen feels that he should be sticking the ball in the back of the net from there. If he lifts the ball, he scores.
A moment of heroism from the Blackburn goalkeeper at the end of the ground, where he suffered a real indignity on our last visit against Sheffield Wednesday in the tail end of last season. He knows competition is on its way if John Eustace gets his way and Blackburn get what they want in the transfer market. And he's a remarkable job of keeping Blackburn's sheep clean here, as there are words with Travis and Cashin. It was just over Wilson's head that time. Again, Gay showing his worth back there.
Well, it should be a wake-up call for Blackburn Rovers. They've conceded so many set pieces in this game, despite Derby up until that moment not really threatening a goal. That's the precarious nature of a 1-0 lead.
Is it going to be the lift, the tonic, the fillip, the boost, whatever you want to call it, that Derby require? Barkhuizen's off on a run. You have the tools to exploit a quicker ball forward on occasion. This is Caden Jackson. Elder again providing the overlap. It's Ozo. The Ozo layer, as some have already begun to call him. It's not especially porous when he's on his game. Come on, Gay, that's an opportunity!
Well, Curtis Nelson does really well here. He leans into Gay just as he's about to take the strike. It's good defending to win the ball back, but just a little nudge there. Not enough to concede a penalty. Just enough there to make contact with Gay. Can't get the direction.
Which is swiftly exploiting the situation. Okay, another opportunity. Barkhuizen wants it. Looking around the corner. And kindly for Jackson.
Well, how big a moment could this prove to be? It's vicious from Mendez-Laing, but you can see there Ainsley Pears, good strong hand to claw the ball out. Barkhuizen, he blocks Barkhuizen's follow-up. It's a nearly moment for Derby.
Well, perhaps the first genuine scramble of the championship season. An outstanding save from a goalkeeper who is continuing in the family business. Elder Stephen, a very distinguished operator. Mendez-Laing is in there, but beaten to the punch. And Hayden Carter hurling himself at that. And another moment where urgency was required in the defensive third for Blackburn.
Nathaniel Mendez-Laing's eyes must have been just lighting up there.
Directing operations from that midfield berth. There's Gay, who's come back from an offside position. That smile is going to become a notable feature by the look of it here at Ewood Park this season. Not yet smiling in the joy of scoring.
Enjoying an awful lot of the ball. First 10 minutes of this second half. Chances at both ends.
Tronstad into Rankin Costello. And Cashin can bring it away, but not carry it beyond the tenacious Tronstad. Wilson, Barkhuizen. Also beaten to it. The Hedge is diligent.
Just detect a little more urgency from Derby County. Start of the second half, just moving the ball quicker as well. Causing Blackburn one or two problems.
Now here's Osborne. Elder. Mendez-Laing. Rankin Costello. Helping out Callum Britton in that right back position. Managed to get beyond, and it's Hyam this time who had to stoop and conquer. It's Mendez-Laing trying to pick it up. And Travis away, and it may be more than that, but Nelson is covering. And the supporters gather behind the goal to our left are beginning to enjoy this a little more.
Yeah, they're on the front foot here. It's the most sustained spell for Derby County.
To be a lot more purpose and threat behind the possession. That's another wicked delivery by Elder, and Hyam has to be alive and alert again.
Well, this is the third time in this game that Dominic Hyam has been in the right place at the right time, and it's not by accident. It's brilliant from Elder. Puts the ball into an area, but none of his attackers are gambling across that near post. Good defending.
Meanwhile, Blackburn have concerns over their most recent recruit in the lineup, Maktar Gay. Well, Sheffield United have doubled their lead at Preston in a game which is live for you on Sky Sports Plus, and Gus Harmer with a goal to treasure. He's a talent to treasure as well. Fantastic moment for him and for Sheffield United. And maybe, although there's still plenty of time, that game might just be beyond North End. So there is Yukio Hashi.
I just hope it's nothing serious for Gay, because he has done really well on his league debut for Blackburn Rovers.
Well, you imagined it would have been a change they made at some point tonight, but the issue maybe has been forced, unfortunately. We hope not. And a little moment of history with Hashi's entrance to the field. We're here. It looks like Gay's going to come back on because he's suffering a bit from cramp rather than anything more serious. I suppose it's something you're not as surprised to see in the 60th minute at this point in the season.
Well, it's good to see him back on, but that doesn't make pleasant reading for Blackburn Rovers. They're on the back foot in this second half. They really need to do something about it. Credit Derby.
So Hashi will have to wait.
Probably won't have to wait too long. We're an hour in. If he's getting cramp just before the hour mark, probably hasn't got too much left in the locker.
He will become the first Japanese first-team player here at Blackburn. Someone more accustomed to striding out at Ewood Park, who could also yet play a part.
County controlling the second half. They're controlling possession, but more importantly, they're controlling territory. Blackburn need to get the ball and keep it for a while.
So Derby team growing in belief here. Easily buffeted off the ball. Ozo, Mendez-Laing, Osborne. The first time. Oh, and Jackson in the centre. It was well won by Wilson.
It's a bit high, hanging and loopy from Ben Osborne. Really difficult for Kane Wilson to score with that. Again, more positive signs for Derby County. Momentum definitely with the away team here.
Paul Warne and Richie Barker want it. Okay, putting the pressure on, but fouling Ozo. That may well be his final act with changes afoot. Yukio Hashi. Latecomer for a 20-year-old to the serious professional game, because he spent several years studying at one of Japan's most prestigious academic institutions, Chiba University, in the Faculty of Commerce, for those with interest in all the details. Had a lot of injuries, shoulder issues, as well as very serious knee issues. His introduction as a debutant, along with that of Andy Weimann, may just be overshadowed by the other gentleman who's about to take the field.
I think he's going to get an amazing reception. And they need a pick-me-up here, the Blackburn crowd.
Elder darkening the mood somewhat. His forays down that left flank. Gay with a lovely touch. Wasn't quite matched by Dolan's. Cannon is kind, Tronstadt. Dolan sure-footed this time, and here's Travis now for Blackburn. Hedges. There's one of those about to be replaced. And that's not a great surprise given he's still on the road to full fitness after a long injury absence. Derby have a player down, so they've put the ball out of play. It's Barkhuizen. The two debutants, Andy Weimann coming up against an old club. Training with Blackburn a fair while before his signing was confirmed, having been released by Bristol City, that rare thing, going to the European Championship as a player without a club. And a Hashi coming on, but the headline is that Sammy Szmodics is going to stride out in Blackburn colours on opening day of this season, something which many did not believe would happen. The swirling speculation continues, but he is a Blackburn player for the moment, and his presence will doubtless boost them during what has been a difficult period in this second half. And the reception is as warm as he could wish for.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen to that. That's the biggest share of the night. It'll be bigger than when they scored the goal. But he deserves it. He's been the consummate professional as well. You can understand him wanting to go and play in the Premier League. Who wouldn't? This is an interesting fella, isn't it? Hashi. Coventry recruited Sakamoto, Birmingham Miyoshi. They were brilliant last season, a pair of them. I wonder whether Blackburn have unearthed another gem from Japan.
And James Collins has replaced Tom Barkhuizen, who we saw sat on the edge of the centre circle. Collins taking up the central berth in attack. Watched him play in midfield at Barnsley the other day. He can operate deeper than as a number 9. Here he is, Jackson moving to the wide area. More hopeful. Collins just trying to make himself scarce if that's possible. Make a late move. Oh, it's Nelson! Well, there's the answer Derby were looking for. And one of their real strengths of last season has finally come to the fore tonight. Newly promoted Derby County on terms.
Up 25 set pieces last season. Here's the first this season. They will hope it's the first of many, but it's as simple as you like. It's well worked. The delivery is screaming, go and attack me. And Curtis Nelson, last season's Player of the Year. He's aggressive, he's got desire, and he meets it absolutely flush and gets the power that takes it beyond Ainsley Pears. No chance for the goalkeeper to react. And it had been coming, you have to say. They've been on top, and it's game on.
Well, the first goal of 2024, he towered over them like the column dedicated to his namesake. There you go, that's what it feels like.
Fascinated now to see the response from both teams here.
Blackburn have been warned, if you'll forgive the pun. And now they've got to come up with answers.
It's
fairly comfortable in the first half. The Blackburn Rovers allowed Derby County to dictate the start of the second half, and they've paid the price here. To say, they've been the better team. That goal had been coming. I don't think anybody can deny it. It's another assist, isn't it, from Nathaniel Mendez-Laing, who was the assist king last season.
Well, news from another Derbyshire club that is less pleasant for them. Swindon right back in it, literally Will Wright with the equaliser. So slightly dampened spirits for the team returning to the EFL.
Fans are bouncing. Curtis Nelson was bouncing up into the air. Powerful header, wonderful leap, thoroughly deserved equaliser. Can't react in time, Ainsley Pears.
Osborne. And suddenly in the final quarter of this match, you wonder whether the 10-year wait for a victory here might be coming to an end. Emu Adams is going to come on and replace Kenzo Goudmijn, who is understandably not at his sharpest yet. And I suppose you can say that about everybody out there, so why should he be an exception? But making the transition from Dutch football, making that all the more of a challenge.
Sport is about momentum. There's no question Derby County have it here, and Blackburn need to find a way to change that.
Dolan halted by a brilliant clean challenge from Cashin, but picked up by Carter. Now Travis hoping to drive them on. Carter, oh, he's left them sprawling, and it's in! Well, Andy Weimann, on his Blackburn debut, comes back to haunt his former club. Just when Derby was starting to believe the night might belong to them, Blackburn have struck.
Well, momentum changed, and it's all about this. And they win the ball back. It's Hayden Carter, steps in and keeps going. And this is brilliant from the centre half. He's got the composure to spot Andy Weimann at the far post after a wonderful piece of trickery. He sits not one, two Derby defenders on their backsides and picks his teammate out. It is brilliant. And if we were watching a creative midfielder do that, we would be waxing lyrical. But that's a central defender who's just really changed this game.
Well, what an entrance from Andy Weimann. The first attempt on goal in 20 minutes.
Been on the back foot. It's cut again. It's come out of nowhere. And again, it's a harsh lesson about the difference between League One and the Championship for Derby County.
Just a few seconds under 5 minutes between those two goals. And from Derby, believing and perhaps feeling they were the likelier winners. They had to pick themselves up again off the canvas. The elder suggesting they're capable of that.
Well, every time there's a set piece, they are for sure capable of causing Blackburn Rovers problems.
Was the head of Adams. And cries of sign him up during his successful loan spell. Well, I don't know actually whether he touched the ball before that header, Andy Weimann.
So.
I can't recall
No,
one.
no, I don't think so. Of course, he's going to get the plaudits, but Dominic Hyam, take a bow.
Carter left them sprawling.
I beg your pardon, I've just given his partner the credit, haven't I?
Well, he's deserved credit for some important interventions back there, Dominic Hyam. He's certainly played his part in Blackburn being able to claw their way back ahead.
I do like it when you correct me, though. It was brilliant, brilliant skill, and a brilliant pick out as well.
Well, put that on the show reel. Travis. Offside against Dolan, who's by necessity really, with Szmodics coming on, having to pick up a wider position again. Difference to the atmosphere, naturally. It's much more like what we came here hoping it would be from the home supporters, creating a good buzz. Oh, and Ohashi couldn't exploit the gift, and Cashin has finally sorted himself out. Stuff of nightmares for a centre-back.
Talk about losing your footing at an inappropriate moment. Ohashi's just done that.
Here's Britton. Ohashi's loitering again. We've seen one debutant score off the bench. Britton. Oh, and there he is! Sammy Szmodics still here, still scoring. Well, incredible! You would have had Derby down as the likelier winners once they struck back. But Blackburn have hit back hard, and their one-away star looks as though he has administered the knockout punch.
Well, my best guess is that he's about 50% fit, but it doesn't matter when you've got the ability to know where the ball is going to end up and to find space. Credit Ohashi and credit Callum Britton. There's a clever little bit of movement from Sammy Szmodics, just to find that little bit of space. He's got his arms up, he's calling for the ball for ages, and then he steps back and finds that little yard. It's brilliant all round. It's a fantastic team goal, actually. And you would never have bet against it, would you, when he came on the pitch?
Well, who needs training? Who needs pre-season games? The adoring Blackburn end, loving that moment. It may be the last big Sammy Szmodics moment here at Ewood Park. We shall await developments. Well, how do you feel if you're Derby now?
Well, shell-shocked, I would guess. But there's still time.
And still believe, clearly, it's Mendez-Laing. That could be useful, but it's should to be well defended by Harry Pickering this time. And every one of that back four has had moments where, and goalkeeper too, where they've had to distinguish themselves. Well, there's plenty more of this over the next few days as Oxford begin a championship campaign for the first time this century against Norwich City in our main feature tomorrow. Leeds Portsmouth, one of the games on Sky Sports Plus. Sunday, Sheffield Wednesday against Wayne Rooney's Plymouth, as they have now become known. Sunday 3:15 for coverage of that one. And two of the teams that have come down that are fighting to get straight back up. Luton and Burnley lock horns at the Kenny on Monday night. And I'm reliably informed by those who are watching the game with a finer tooth comb, metaphorically at least, than I, that it was Weiman's second touch of the ball. So
sign of a good striker, isn't it? Ghosting in unnoticed.
Absolutely. Well, as you showed many times, Don.
Being kind to me.
It's early season yet. A long, long way to go. Ohashi. Dolan left. Ohashi going himself.
Well, Tyrese Dolan was on, but having done this brilliant work, why wouldn't you try and have a shot? Press the home fans, just leaning back, can't keep it down. But he looks sharp, doesn't he? Very different to Gay, but sharp nevertheless.
Well, he has been playing J-League matches in the last few weeks, their season running across a calendar year rather than in the traditional European format. And he has scored 16 goals in 2024.
A couple of gambles on strikers is the best description. Look decent.
Well, this guy knows about strikers and knows about doing it for Blackburn Rovers, where he had his best times. Rudy Gestede, Director of Football Operations now here, in a reshuffle of the management. Scored 35 goals in 72 appearances for Blackburn Rovers when Gary Bowyer was at the helm and did a magnificent job in similarly difficult circumstances. Those circumstances never seem to change here.
He was a strike partner?
There's a bloke called Rhodes, I think, wasn't it? Jordan Rhodes, he scored a few.
I think Rudy brought the best out of Jordan, didn't he?
Absolutely. They're knocking on the door of the playoffs in successive seasons. That's a coming together between Collins and Ohashi that is worthy of a yellow card.
I mean, look, it looked honest enough for me. It's low, but it's aggressive. I think a yellow card on first thoughts from me would be the right outcome. It's aggressive, but look, he's low. He's low enough. It's just the knee, isn't it? Just with his shin catches him, but the yellow card is the right outcome.
Not a massive amount, if any, of malintent at all. Just an honest challenge that, unfortunately for Ohashi, left its mark.
He'll be all right.
Yes, only momentarily. Here's Travis.
Well, I said, when Derby County equalised, I wonder what the reaction from both of them is going to be. Well, there you have it. Brilliant reaction from Blackburn Rovers.
Osborne. Mendez-Laing willing again to run in behind. Pears has come. Mendez-Laing able to get it beyond him, but ultimately Blackburn survived the situation.
High him again.
Osborne to hurl it in there again. It was Adams looking to meet it. Skillfully done by Weimann. It's a painful one for Travis this time. Szmodics with Dolan around. And Hashi with a chance! And beautifully done! It's turning into some opening night for Blackburn. Two debutants on the score sheet. Sammy Szmodics still here and on the score sheet. And really, it's beyond their wildest dreams.
Well, Derby were pressing as they had to, so they were gambling, so they were left a little bit bare in defence. Blackburn Rovers counter-attacking last season, very strong in transition. But look at Hashi, he holds his ground, makes himself available. Szmodics picks him out, and I absolutely love that finish. I'm critical, aren't I, frequently when strikers hit the goalkeeper in that situation, but lift it over him, stay calm and reap the rewards. It's brilliant from Hashi. It's a great pick out from Szmodics. What a night for Blackburn Rovers. We thought goals might be a problem for them.
We talked about being more clinical in the final third. Well, this is the standard set. And remember, as Hashi wreathed in ecstatic smiles, had not won a home match as Blackburn manager prior to today. It looks very much like he will here today on an emotional occasion against his old club.
Well, he'll be thrilled, apart from the first 20 minutes of the second half.
Very familiar face of Craig Forsyth amongst those who've come on. Liam Thompson there, and Tyrese Forner, formerly of the club, but not best mentioned at Pride Park. A rare transfer from Nottingham Forest. John Eustace was in the stands for a 3-1 victory over Stoke back in February, but he hadn't officially taken charge at that point. This will be officially the first home win with him at the helm, and the first time they've scored 4 here at Ewood Park with him at the helm.
Well, not once last season did Derby County concede 4. In fact, they only lost a game by more than 1 goal on 1 occasion.
Dolan receiving a yellow card for that. And that is his last act of the day, having got things started. And it's certainly a distinct change of tack in terms of the replacement. Danny Batth will make his Blackburn Rovers debut. One of those real seasoned hands at championship level that John Eustace has recruited. Pears needing to use his fist to good effect. Warner's desperate for an edge of the box. Anyone's going to see him.
Well, the game's gone, but can they nick another goal? Derby. It's been a harsh lesson for them tonight, hasn't it? About the difference between League One and the Championship.
Oh, and in. And the arm aloft from Kane Wilson. And And, well, it's not greeted with ecstasy behind the goal, but at least it might get a few nerves jangling just before the end.
It's another corner. Good delivery into a dangerous area. Look where he comes from, straight off the training ground. It really should be harder than that to score from a corner. It's Lewis Travis. He's the closest to him. Runs under the ball. And it's a good header down into the ground, makes it hard for the keeper, but it's a consolation.
Well, they had quite a few in the first half that they didn't really make a lot of. Set pieces tonight, big tick for Derby.
The positives, the 20 minutes of the second half at the start, total control. He'll want more of that.
But in warning against the ruthlessness of your opposing forwards this season, you're looking at a team that finished 19th in the division last year, and they, in the blink of an eye, have taken 3 chances in outstanding fashion, really.
Well, and here's another thing for them. Substitutes, what an impact. 3 goals, assists, everything.
Cash in booked for this.
This fella's looked sharp since he's come on.
Well, the adrenaline for Hashi will be coursing like never before. I think John Eustace's question is, well, is he going to adjust quickly to the increased intensity?
I tell you what, having played in Japan, I know they are fit. I mean, super fit. I don't think he'll have any problems, honestly.
To a minimum of 5 added minutes. And well, there may yet be additions, but it's a scoreline I certainly didn't see coming on my arrival.
I don't think anybody could have predicted a high-scoring game. It's the Championship, full of surprises.
Well, yes, and we've got what? Well, Preston and Sheffield United, 555 more games after tonight. I don't know how many surprises we're going to get during the course of that. That's including the playoffs, just to be absolutely clear. Adams putting himself about. Thompson. Adams. Oh, it just had players worried for a moment. The delivery from Jackson.
Well, make no doubt about it, it's a cross, but it's got such whip on it. It's dipping. It's causing Ainsley Pears a problem.
You never know, if they were to get one imminently.
It would have to be very imminently, wouldn't it?
Have to redefine imminent. Wilson getting those legs working. Towards a Hashi. A little less of a battle for that kind of ball for the 2 Derby centre-backs than the player he replaced.
Yeah, well, we said very different players, aren't they? Both have looked very useful additions and added to the depth to Blackburn Rovers. Power of the substitutes bench at its very, very best tonight, utilised by John Eustace.
Well, that's the metre of squad depth, isn't it? The metre of strength. what does your 20 look like rather than your 11. And, well...
More to come, you'll hope, yeah.
Impactful tonight.
Absolutely.
I mean, Szmodics has an assist as well as a goal.
Yeah, look, the project that he was sold is not how it's turned out. I'm pretty confident about that. That he's the right man for this football club at this time. Just needs a little bit of support from those above.
It's not quite as advertised in the brochure, there's no doubt, but he has made a tremendous fist of it already. His exploits last season, I mean, you might look at the results and think, well, it's not especially eye-catching, but they turned a leaky boat into a very resilient runner.
Yeah, the result itself doesn't show that Derby went 1-1 and looked the more likely to go on and score again. That's where you'd have put your money, wasn't it, at 1-1. Derby had the momentum. Blackburn had the mentality. Fair play to them.
And Szmodics might fancy another here. It's going to be a sight greeted with eagerness by a goalkeeper. A ball coming at you like that with one of the most dangerous players in the division, regardless of how fit he is, steaming towards you as well.
Spoke about John Eustace wanting more additions. I'm sure it's the same for Paul Warne. We all know that. Hopefully he'll get them.
Well, a really positive start for John Eustace, whose bench turned the tide, and Sammy Szmodics, sticking around for the moment at least at Ewood Park, made a crucial contribution with a goal and an assist, despite being well short of full belt. Andy Weimann on his debut against his former club with only his second touch of the ball heading home after brilliant eye-catching work from Hayden Carter. And Yuki Ihashi showing that there's plenty to come from him with a brilliant dinked finish. Derby the better side for much of the second half. Tyree Stolen had given Blackburn a lead at half-time. The set pieces ticked the boxes in the end for Derby though. Curtis Nelson emphatically and Kane Wilson elusively managing to get goals. A lot of more positives for Paul Warne in the second half, but he's seen just how clinical championship opposition can be tonight.
Yeah, look, there's be some positives for him. The set pieces were brilliant. Work ethic, nothing wrong with that, but there were lessons to be learned for Derby County about the differences that they're going to face this season compared to last season, and I'm sure Paul Warne will flag all of them up and improve them.
John Eustace